Welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me. It is October 30th, 2024, and it is Wednesday, which means that it is also Discord Day. We are going to have a discussion today. It is at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so after the markets close and after Greg's live stream. So please join us there if you can. If you need a link, let me know. I'm going to leave one in the description. But also, if it doesn't work, if you have any troubles, just message me so I can get you in. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. You can just use the chat. If you have any questions at all or anything that you would like to contribute, it's quite a great discussion group. So, with this, we've got a lot going on today between everything in the markets. We've got a heavy week coming forward, so let's get right into it. Starting with our market risk, it has actually pulled back a bit. Now, the MMRI now at 272.9. Yesterday was at 277. Now, this is on the pullback of the 10-year yield as well as the relative strength of the dollar. Basically, yesterday, stocks took a bit of a hit, fell from either slightly negative in the Dow to flat. Not anything major, but it did cause enough of a correction that it gave a bit of deflation here. Also, the greed risk meter down a little bit, down to 58, but still in great territory. So we're watching a little bit of a washout. We've got, as I said, the 10-year yield and relative strength of the dollar actually poised on a drop today. Now, if these do indeed drop, it's going to be positive for the stock market, at least for a slight bit. Now, we're expecting some volatility, and futures also showing this as well. Now, we've got silver is pulling back, as we were talking about. It was hitting that resistance level. The surprise actually is gold continuing higher. It's beginning to hit that 2,800 level. It's approaching it. Now, the other surprise is Bitcoin. Bitcoin went not just above the 72,000 level, but briefly hit 73,000. Now, as I was saying, 72,000 is the level that I was watching with a bit of resistance, definitely at 74. Could have a pullback. We don't know for sure. It's just a probability, not a guarantee. So, with all of this in the major picture, we've still got bond yields are up. We've got increased volatility going into next week, as well as with major earnings coming today. Yesterday, we did have jobs getting weaker. Now, the jobs are really going to be the indicator moving forward, not just for the Fed, but also for the real economy. Now, I had mentioned F5. F5 is that company that is similar to Cisco. It is the backbone, basically, of the internet. They had banner earnings, basically, and rocketed off of that. Now, in contrast, Ford dropped, as well as D.H. Horton, which is a home builder. Now, as we were speaking about home prices coming down, home builders beginning to take a hit. Bitcoin surged yesterday, although we're at resistance. So we may see a pullback in MicroStrategy. The other thing is that TLT may be a buy on yield drops. This is not financial advice, just some observations as well as some probabilities that we're putting in here. Now, as these yields on the 10-year pulled back, that basically raises the price in the treasuries, the underlying asset. So with this, we've got United States futures struggling along caution with key events. Now, we've got elections coming up. My plans are to basically sell on these pops and getting out of a good portion of the stock markets. Now, we are in the melt up rally that could increase at a rapid pace. However, I am watching the surge in this, pulling in some profits. I am staying in small amounts, but pulling back to a different position, if you will, holding my long term Bitcoin, but pulling out of the trading stuff. So with this, we've got non-farms coming out. We've got crude oil inventories. This is prior to market open. And then this is for the rest of the week. Core PCE and jobs is really what's going to be watching. Now, I mentioned also yesterday's Stellantis. Now, they didn't disappoint. They didn't wait a full day before they're having a recall. Nearly 34,000 Ram 1500 vehicles. So expect their stock to take a bit of a hit today. We've got Volkswagen also planning mass layoffs, also closing some factories. So this is going to drag that sector down. Now, I had also mentioned a couple of others, Airbnb for the longer term. Now, with all of this, we've got gold surging, central banks buying at very rapid pace. Now, the rising gold demand, they're saying, is offsetting lower jewelry buying. Now, I want to point this out because this is showing the divergence in where the money is, who is able to spend. Now, jewelry buying typically by consumers, but we've got the bullion and gold being purchased by central banks and institutions. So this is showing the divide. And what should people be doing? Really buying more of this, as the banks are. So with this gold hitting an all-time high, as well as Bitcoin hitting near peaks, the question is this a red flag for traditional markets? So something to consider. So with this, we've got Shannon's favorite grandma here. She's coming out saying that the Treasury is going to launch new financial inclusion push. As if you haven't heard enough of this. Now, what she's speaking about is making financing and debt available to more classes. So, in other words, let's make poor people even poorer. In her view, that's okay. So, that's what the push is for. Now, we've got a First Foundation, basically another banking sector, taking a hit over commercial real estate loans that it plans to sell. So, what they have just done is they took all of their bad loans that were rated higher, they rewrapped them into another package. The basically the rating on it dropped, and so now they're going to dump this on the market before it takes a larger hit for pennies on the dollar. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because they're not the only one. There will be multiple banks doing this, and as they begin to try and sell this hot potato to each other, we're going to watch more smaller mid-sized banks take hits, merge, as I've said before, or go bankrupt. So if you're new here, probably a new concept to you, but not know if you've been here. More smaller mid-sized banks to close. Do not expect JP Morgan to close over this. They will get fat off of this as they buy these for pennies on the dollar. Now a little bit larger into the central banks, basically BIS. That is Bank of International Settlements. Now, I want to bring this up because I see a lot of stories. People are getting this wrong, and not just wrong, but terribly wrong. They are talking about mBridge. Now, if you haven't heard about the mBridge project, I spoke about it briefly. This is basically their mainline connection for trading along central banks. Now, they're talking about this speculation now that they're going to dump this possibly because BRICS countries could use it for circumventing sanctions. Now, this is a lot of clouding and misdirection. Why do I say this? This is one of their main lines to using central bank digital currencies. The system is already in place. They've spent a lot of time putting this into the works. Now, basically, they're covering this over. They're giving a direct line into the People's Bank of China. They are tied in with the World Bank, International Monetary Fund. And there's now these cover stories saying that this could possibly be used for sanctions. It's the same thing as them with cryptocurrencies, saying that Bitcoin is used to launder money by criminals and then they purchase it in the back end or confiscate it. It's a cover story. So now they're saying the participation with UAE, China, Hong Kong, Thailand, Saudi, that this could be an issue for them. They're integrating digital yuan and saying that this could be a trouble. And nothing could be further from the truth. They're going to increase their use on this. In fact, I believe this is going to be the backbone of the central bank digital currency to rule them all eventually. Okay, so don't get misdirected. We've also got something that will pick up the pieces directly after, and this is major Hong Kong exchange group launching virtual asset index series. Now, basically, they're using these backbones to begin stock trading on this same rails. So it's expanding, they're not ditching it. Okay, with this, we've got Florida official wanting Bitcoin included in state pension funds. Now, this is more adoption. They're finally talking about this. We're talking about this for a long time, that eventually they would be doing this. So, with all of this adoption, it looks like the boat is getting a bit heavy to one side. So, could have short term pullbacks in these. Keep an eye on that. So, with all of this, I'd like to speak a little bit more about some background developments in the world, basically on the war, because this is driving the economies. Now, we've got some things you would not expect if you listen to mainstream media. This is Iran and Japan. They are talking about cooperation in transport as well as technology development. Now, again, Japan, supposed to be a Western ally, making direct ties, direct trade with Iran, which is one of the main axis, if you would say, so-called evil. Now, in the same time, we've got the Bank of Japan sitting tight. They were looking at hiking their rates. As I said before, they don't have to, because basically, as the other Western currencies are pummeling their currencies, they can sit tight and theirs will naturally float above the others. Now, with the United States elections, all of the uncertainty, massive turmoil, volatility, all they have to do is sit back and watch, expand their trade ties, and they will be in good shape. Now, they have a completely different culture than the rest of the Western nations, meaning basically Europe and the United States. I think this is something that has been basically um, not taken for the strength that it should be. It's basically being underestimated in a major way. So we've got on the other side Ukraine and Russia, and talks about halting strikes on energy plants. Now, the first side of this is the market side. This is oil, affecting oil, energy. So, of course, they're talking about go ahead and throw your bombs, have your wars, but don't hit the oil, spare the oil, if you will. Now, this should tell you they do not have uh, basically they're not valuing human life as much as they are their markets. They're very misplaced. This is very angering, to say the slightest. Don't worry about taking human lives, but don't bomb the oil plants. So with this, we've also got the president here holding drills. Russian nuclear forces, they're simulating nuclear retaliatory strikes this morning. Hope I don't get struck for this. Hopefully this video still makes it out, but they don't like speaking about this. They're going to start cracking down on the speech. But we've also got South Korea doing similar activities, checking on these. So I think there's going to be a lot of things moving forward from here. And we can watch these and just be ready for them, because these could throw some very major market fits if any of these escalate. So, with this, thank you kindly for joining me again. We're going to keep a close eye on these things. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.